Hey, cannapreneurs. Before we get started with today's show, I just want to mention one of our sponsors. You know, we couldn't bring the show to you without sponsors because it really does cost a little bit of money to get a radio show, a podcast, a video production, social media, a website. Everything that's included in bringing you this show requires a little bit of investment, and our sponsors have stepped up and done that for us. Today, I want to highlight Derry Berry's Recording Studio. Derry Berry's Recording Studio, located in Arvada, Colorado, is your local recording studio with affordable rates. Mark is well experienced and will make your music, your show, or any audio you have sound great. He makes our show come across the internet loud and clear every week, and he can do the same thing for your band or your project. Take a look at derryberrysrecordingstudio.com or give Mark a call at 303-456-8216. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. In this week's show, we're highlighting Derry Berry's Recording Studio. Now on to the show. Open up, Colorado. It's 4:20. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project with Brainstorm, bringing you your weekly podcast broadcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado, exploring the business side of this newly emerging economy right here in Colorado. You know what it is, the cannabis industry. Here we are focusing on the business, not the stoner. This is not your son's stoner show. We want to talk to businesses, patients, retailers, even to the geek in the garage creating that next innovation in cannabis. This is the first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs build sustainable business models while living the lifestyle. Now you're saying, what does that mean? What are we going to talk about? It's going to be all the stuff you imagine. We're going to talk about health, but health and cannabis, legal issues in cannabis, food, obviously, how to make food out of cannabis, music, art, the lifestyle, and of course, growing and technology. Everything you want to know that's up to the date with the coolest innovation and methods and technology. Like every week, we start off these shows with a quick memory relapse flashback to last week's show just to help us remember what we learned, what it was all about, keep moving forward. And if you didn't get a chance to hear the whole episode, get a couple minutes right here and then go back and take a listen. Every show can be found directly from the media players, whether you're talking about iTunes or Stitcher or Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, doesn't matter. Pick your platform, find us where you want to listen, give us a listen, and then make sure to click a like or a follow just so I know you're listening. Because it is very important, not just for our sponsors, but for my morale. I need to know people are listening out there so I don't just seem like some dude who's sitting behind a microphone in a little office just talking to myself and staring at the wall. I need to know there's actually faces out there who are smiling or not, but with open ears listening to me loud and clear. So find me on Facebook, Kush Common, wherever you want to find me. It doesn't really matter. It could be Google. Just send me a line. So let's move on quickly now. Dan Williams from CSA, Canada Security America, filling us in on the real threat level and some funny dumb story criminals. Let's take a quick look back, flashback, memory relapse to last week. So you were actually involved on the original writing of the amendments or just the regulations around the amendments?
The regulations around the amendments pertaining particularly to the cannabis industry.
But you do security systems for grow houses and greenhouses and grow rooms and the whole deal.
Exactly. So we put in the camera systems, the alarm systems, door access systems, which are the ID cards to get into certain areas, things like that. And we also provide paperwork for the state for their licensing submission. I think the numbers now are upwards of 2,500 total facilities in Colorado.
Who have dispensary license.
Dispensary and grow. And now we're seeing custom-built, what we call colossal grow facilities. So we're seeing the much larger facilities being built. A lot of them have in-wall irrigation into each room, are custom-built out so they can be sprayed out easily. We only focus on the cannabis industry. People ask us if we've done other facilities. We've done homes for some of our owners. Right now we're working on proprietary software to consolidate all of these remote access smartphone apps. So for instance, you would have one app where you could be watching watching your growers. You could lock down and arm your facility if you wanted to, and you could even open or close doors from your smartphone.
Do you come from a security background?
I do, and I think that these systems primarily are meant to be deterrent.
Okay.
So people say, oh, well, I want to be able to catch people. And we say, well, you don't want people to rob you in the beginning. You'd
Right.
rather have them take a look around and say, there's a lot of cameras here and alarms and door access, and I'm going to get caught pretty easily. I'm not going to bother. Lately, we are planning a release for physical security side, which is transport and pickup using armored trucks, security guard control.
Courier service.
Yeah, armed courier service. In the same amount of time, you could have anywhere from $200,000 to $1 million plus worth of product that you have to transfer at once. Mm-hmm. And that gets scary. There's a need for new solutions that need to be provided specific to the industry. So
basics of security, which probably come down to people. And I don't have a security background, but I'm just kind of guessing that like most industries and jobs, it kind of comes down to people.
90% of theft is usually internal, and that's unfortunate. But that's within any industry. That's not specific to the cannabis industry. Anywhere where you have a product worth any value and you have cash transactions, that's going to happen. From the grow side to the crop, when you start to crop, then you trim, then you cure, and there should be different levels in there of traceability. So we know every level where the product has been touched and by whom. The term seed to sale was spawned here in Colorado, and now as we've been going around the country and introducing ourselves to the new states that have come online and the new business owners and trying to understand how each state differs in their different regulations out there. You can reach us, Cannabis Security America, CSA, at www.cannabissecurity.com or info@cannassecurity.com. We're also available on Facebook for the most up-to-date event information and news, or just come on by, 4704 Harlan Street, Suite 520, Denver, Colorado, 80212, and you can always call us at 888-929-4CSA.
Excellent. There you have it, Dan Williams from CSA, Cannabis Security America. Did you learn a little something about the security industry? Did you learn a little something more about what dispensaries and grow houses are going through? How safe do you feel now in Colorado? Safer? About the same? Did the number you have about how many robberies and violent crimes taking place match up with what Dan revealed to us? This industry is turning everything on its head. There's a blend, a fusion, a mixed splice strain, if you will, happening between the business side and the lifestyle side, and it's coming together in a very beautiful lineup with companies just like CSA who are giving us very professional, very well-rounded business to the core in a lifestyle that, well, it just ain't your average business. So I want to hear about more of these kind of businesses. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find them. I'm not just going to talk to the growers and dispensaries all the time and not just paraphernalia makers and people who you would expect. I'm going to find all those little businesses that are getting involved in this cannabis industry that you would not even think about. And yes, everybody's already thought about the tourism, so I am going to find a bunch of those companies and I'll get a hold of them and we'll learn all about that side of the business. But there is hundreds of people out there who are going to be suppliers and contributors in the tiny little things that you're not even thinking about, contributing to the pillar and support of this industry. I'm going to find you. I'm coming after you. But if you know somebody, or if you yourself are one of those people, just make it easy on me. Give me a call, contact me, let's hook up and let's get you on the air. Let's move on now to our weekly segment of Twin News, This Week in News. We are going to do something new because this show, the Cannabis Community Project, does involve lifestyle. I know I hound about the business and business and business, and it's a business show, not your son's stoner show. But do not get me wrong, it is an artist show just as much. Because an artist is an entrepreneur, and an entrepreneur is just as much part of the Cannabis Community Project. So what we're going to do this week is we're actually going to be the first ones to release a song. I feel so special doing this. I'm going to be the first one to get to play over the internet airwaves, the ether, a song by our very own special guest of the Cannabis Community Project, Hannah Samano. Now, if you missed her episode, you can go back and take a listen. It's just called The Musicpreneur with Hannah Samano, and it's right there on the page where all the other episodes are. But this week, Hannah has recorded and produced a new song that we're going to showcase here, and then listen to it before we move into the interview.
Get your instrument and play along.
How many moons has it been, darling? How many months since June? And how many lonesome wanders wandering around with you? Wandering and wondering like they do. How many nights so cold in our minds? How much forgetfulness did you let yourself find? Went into your skin, those foreign winds climb. Oh, went into your skin, those foreign winds climbed. Hold close, that mind, love, don't ever let it go. Hold it close now. Let my love, oh, don't ever let it go. Hold it close now. Oh, when you find love, oh, don't ever.
Oh yeah, are you just as much of a sucker as I am for a good acoustic guitar and soothing vocals? I love this kind of music. You know, I'm not much of a metalhead and a hardcore rocker. I'm more of a sit down with a guitar and strum a few chords and sing a couple words that make sense. And that's why I like introducing this kind of music. So we're going to have more of this up in the future. And if you're a musician and you want to get your music out here on our show, give me a call. Contact me. Facebook, email, it doesn't matter. Send me a bit of your music. I'll use it in the show, or we'll set you up on a musicpreneur show and interview you long form also. It's just about getting content out there that's valuable, and musicians have valuable content, especially original music that's being produced locally right here in Colorado. I want to be a platform, a channel for you to express that. So just like Hannah did, and just like we've had other people do in the past, give us some music, get us on the show. Cannabis Community Project is here to support you. This week's show is brought to you by HMO Plus for all your growing needs. Call Joe Grow Flounder at 719-569-6529 or visit him at www.hmopluss.com. On to part 2 of the interview with Errl Riggz. If you remember, just a couple weeks ago, we had Errl Riggz in the shop showing us hands-on about the glass blowing and twisting pipes and moving molecules. But we also sat down with Errl and had a long-form discussion about life and his business, where he came from, some of his philosophy behind his motivation and what he's doing. And it's a very interesting interview that I had to break it up in 2 parts so it didn't get lost. But I want to bring that to you today. And Errl is not unlike me in the fact that we got a lot to say. And sometimes once we get that motor going and we start talking, it's a little hard to shut us up. But we don't want to shut Errl up. We want to let him talk. We just want to make sure we do it in a way that everybody can hear. So we're going to give him his own show today, part 2 of the interview. And just sit back and listen, because whether you agree or disagree, or whether you just want to hear about what other people are thinking, here's somebody who's deep in it from all angles. This is your final warning. This episode contains explicit language and heavy talk about drug use. Listen at your own risk. He's not just working the business, he's also a patient. And he's a patient that has personal stories like many other patients about how this industry and this plant has really helped him overcome, helped him get through in life, helped him become something, somebody. These are the type of people I'm trying to highlight. I mean, obviously he has a business, so I want to talk to him about his business, and he's a patient, so I want to talk to him about the patient part of it. But I really want his own words and his own passion to come across where other people can hear what's going on. I don't want to tell you about other people. I want you to hear other people, because I know there's so many more people out there just like Errl who have something that needs to be done in this industry, and they're looking for legitimate channels to express that art and express themselves. There's so much to be said here that if you need, go back and listen to it twice. Listen to it 3 times. Share it with a friend. Share it with a patient. Share it with another business. Write up your own manifesto and get ready to pronounce it on the air after you contact me. Do whatever you need. But don't let these shows just pass by you like some type of Saturday afternoon smoking and joking fest. Sometimes we get a little serious, and sometimes we have fun. Today's show is going to be kind of balancing on the both. I mean, it's very serious what Errl's talking about, but it's definitely fun listening to all the conversation, because for those of you who are truly cannapreneurs and in this industry, war stories. We love talking about war stories, and we love hearing about it. So let's take a listen. Let's take it all in. Sit back, relax, roll it up, grind and burn. We got Errl Riggz for you, part 2. Well, thanks for showing me the shop. That was pretty impressive. I've never seen any type of shop before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had an idea, that it was some type of spinning something, but I really didn't know. So I'm glad you showed that to me.
Yeah, glass blowing is basically the premise is lathe work. So whether your hands are the lathe or you have a machine that's a lathe, you're spinning the glass on that axis, and you keep it spinning so that once it starts getting liquid, it doesn't just droop and fall. And you keep it uniform by blowing into it. So there's the artistic aspect of glass blowing, characters shaping glass, the color, coming up with concepts and designs.
Yeah.
And then there's the scientific part of glass, and that's where all the bongs and beakers and all that stuff come from. It's like the scientific ware that they use to do laboratory testing and stuff.
Is that to actually get it into the shape of each bong, or is that for resisting heat and break how fragile it is?
The techniques were made by the scientific industry. Once, everybody in school has been in the science lab and looked at all that glass and been like, if I took that, I could put that together and make that into a bong, and if I just did this, I could make that into a piece. And I took stuff from the science lab and made bongs out of it. So once those people realized, I could make a lot more money making these things into bongs, so they took the beaker shape, like any science lab has beakers to mix stuff.
Right.
And they added length of tube on top of it and put a joint or just popped a hole in the side, and now you got a smoking device. You got a bong.
But nowadays, the stuff I see is crazy. crazy with the multiple chambers. And I would like to see one of those done live because I still can't even really piece it together. You know, have you seen the build a ship in a bottle?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. When you look at glass blowing, that's how it's supposed to be. When you watch a glass blower, it should look like magic. You should look at that person and it looks easy. It looks like a dance. It looks like a flow. It looks like they're just flowing with the glass. And then when an amateur or someone who hasn't done glass picks it up, you realize like it's not as easy as it looks, you know. And so
well, it's an art. You're working with an actual material. It's a tangible physical material that you're manipulating and you're making into something. So that's just as much as anybody else, a welder or a sculptor or somebody else out there creating art.
I think that a lot of people don't realize how many people buy pipes and buy oil smoking pieces, and that there's a demand for it. And that's why there's so many glass blowers now, and so many people want to become glass blowers, is because if there aren't American people making them or other glass blowers making them, it's going to be China. It's going to be kids in China and kids in India that working long hours, getting paid nothing, working dirty, dangerous
filling
shops.
The toxic glass into the mold and pumping out, $10 pieces to send to
Well,
Ohio.
they come learn our techniques and they teach them to people, and they use the cheapest glass, the cheapest stuff, just try to fill those quotas. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. They just see a pipe, they just want to smoke, they don't understand that. And some people, they don't care.
Right.
And some people do care. Some people, they actually want to know who made it and where it comes from, and they want to know who touched that and what was involved. So when I make my pieces, I put my energy into it. I try to think about the person that's going to hold that piece.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of times where I've been in another state and I tell somebody I'm a glass blower, and they're like, oh, you should check out this piece. It's my favorite piece. I want you to see it. And they pull it out, and it's one of my pieces. And so I meet so many people, and definitely in Colorado, once you've made so many pieces, you can't imagine every day people are smoking out of those pieces. And so when they smoke, they're sending you good energy. That's their favorite thing. That's the way they medicate. That's the way they recreate. That's the way they enjoy. And you're part of that. You manifested that into the thing. And so when you make that piece and they hold it, they're like, this is exactly what I was thinking. This is what I was imagining. And so that's what I try to do is like, I want to make the piece unique for the person. I want the person to enjoy it and have that connection. And it's not just something that like, oh, I want to get high. I'm going to go buy the first piece. Yeah, just give me the $15 one. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. That's their own thing. But the way I consume cannabis and the way that we, my friends and our business likes to consume cannabis is like with respect for the plant. We grow the plant. We're around the plant, we're around the glass, and it's basically lifestyle that we live. And a lot of people live a cannabis lifestyle. They say they live a cannabis lifestyle, but it's just smoking. It's just consuming a ton of weed every day, dabbing their minds to the max. And that's not a cannabis lifestyle. A cannabis lifestyle involves knowing about cannabis, knowing about hemp, knowing about all the different things that are involved and how basically this world was a cannabis world up until DuPont and William Randolph Hearst got the synthetics, took over, smashed the hemp game, and basically changed all of that things to make reefer madness. And so what I want to do is, with my business, buy up, you look at the late night time, and you see like the businesses, they buy the late night time and have all their commercials. And so people, they're up at late night, and all they see is infomercials. And the people who are up that late watching TV, they're probably looking for something. Yeah. They're probably lost.
A job.
They want to make money. They don't know what to do. They're sick of working for nothing. They don't want to go make money for somebody else and be miserable. And so what do they see? Just a bunch of mind-numbing shit. What I want to do is buy up all that advertisement and make reefer madness and the opposite. Child aspirin, Tylenol. How many people does it kill every year? Get those numbers. Get those statistics. Cannabis, 10,000 years of known use. No one died. No one is dead. Show me the evidence where someone has consumed cannabis. Everything is dangerous. Water is dangerous. The molecules get so saturated with water, you can't get oxygen and you die. Cannabis is safer than water. The thing that you need to survive, cannabis is more safe than. That's ridiculous to me that no one knows these truths and no one puts it into this perspective, because once you do put it into that perspective, and the only reason why we have cannabis legalization and all this cannabis stuff is coming out is not because of smoking and not because of normal fighting and not because of anybody who's an activist, because they've been doing that for how long? The 60s, and it still didn't happen. It happened overnight because Cancer is coming with the quickness, and everybody knows somebody who has cancer and is dying from some weird shit. And all these people have a bunch of money. Like the rich people, they're willing to spend whatever they can to try to cure this cancer. So they try every single thing. They'll do whatever it is, and when they finally get to the end of the rope, they smoke a joint. They finally give in, and the thing they hated and were against for so long, they finally give in and they try the cannabis, and it helps them and it cures them. And then they immediately flip the script and they're like, cannabis is good and the government's bad and I can't believe they gave me cancer and tricked me and did all this horrible stuff to me. And so that's why cannabis is legal right now. That's why we're having this insurgent. And yeah, there is the smoking aspect, but it's about people getting sick. That's why I'm meeting moms and grandmas and all these people, and they're trying all these prescription pills, and they tried every single thing, and the doctors don't know. The doctors are just legal drug pushers, so they don't really know how to cure people. I think that when you're sick mentally or you're sick physically, it's because you're sick of what's going on in your life. You want something to change. And so something's wrong. You're not eating right. You're not doing the correct things to be healthy. So if you don't have a healthy mind, you can't have a healthy body, you can't be healthy at all. And so all of the things that America does leads to be unhealthy mind, unhealthy body, unhealthy everything. They tell you that fat's bad and butter's bad and eat margarine and margarine's not bad cholesterol and all this stuff, and then it comes out to find out, oh, it's plastic and it's horrible for you and animal fat's actually good for you, and when you work out and you just walk and do normal things, you need fat and it's awesome for you and your metabolism will work great. All the things they've been doing to us have been lies. They've been lying to us for so long that like now we fight for them, but they're killing us. America's the best, America's the greatest, and I believe that America is awesome, and it is great, but every culture has greatness, and that's where the world needs to change, is to say every culture is unique, we all have unique things, and let's respect that, and let's have it to where all the boundaries on the world are a lot more open. You're required to know about other cultures. In high school, you're required to go as an exchange student. I was an exchange student in Thailand, and I lived in Utah my whole life, and I grew up around Mormons, and even pot, it opened my mind so much. But once I went to Thailand and met all these kids from Japan and Germany and Thailand and everywhere, and I talked to them and debated with them and saw how ignorant I was, and realized that if you don't go see another world and you don't go to another place and learn another language, your mindset you'll never ever become the best you that you can be. You'll never understand and be able to communicate and have compassion for other beings, and you won't be happy. And like once you go to another place and you learn that stuff, you appreciate all the stuff that's in your world, and then you realize like all the stuff that's not in your world, and that the stuff they have, and that no one has it better than anybody else.
Wow. I think I see why your pipes come out as they do. That's a lot of intensity behind in your art.
Well, when I was in Thailand, I was a Buddhist monk. I've been studying religions ever since I started smoking cannabis, and it changed my life. I've discovered...
How long are we talking here? How many years?
I started smoking cannabis when I was 14, and I'm 31 now.
Okay.
So
half your life.
Half my life, yeah. And as soon as I smoked cannabis talked to me. And it told me, like, everything's a lie, buddy. Like, don't listen to anything anybody tells you.
You were 7th grade, 8th grade.
Yeah.
Were you drinking?
No. I was pretty much against all that kind of stuff. I believed as a little kid, like I knew this was a special time and imagination and just playing with toys and believing I was a pirate and jumping off shit and playing in the grass and doing all that stuff. I knew that was the time to do that. So if I started like having sex and doing drugs and all that stuff at that age, I was going to miss out on all those things. So like everybody else was getting into that stuff and I just avoided it. And then
So you were a good kid, good grades?
No, I didn't have good grades.
No.
I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
So I could read upside down and backwards better than I can normally.
Okay.
I couldn't understand why we were learning the stuff that we were learning in school.
So were you a troubled kid? Were you in trouble a lot?
I wasn't in trouble, but I was doing bad stuff.
Okay. Before, during, after starting smoking?
I would say before, during, and after, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was seeing so much violence and so much danger going on through my dad being a police officer and all this stuff. He was on the gang task force and like all this stuff going on around me. All I saw was violence and anger and war, and like that's in Utah, in America, it was just like guns and violence and like that bravado. I was on the wrestling team. I wanted to snowboard, and like I was on the Olympic speed skating team. Me and my brother were on the speed skating team, and like my brother was a sponsored snowboarder, so we lived in Utah, we snowboarded, we skied, we did all that stuff. And so I've had a lifestyle where I've been like really good and I've been really bad. I'm like an extremist to every degree. I've done it all. But the first time I smoked cannabis, my two like older cousins that I really looked up to like convinced me that I needed to take 6 gravity bong hits in a row.
On your very first
time, one after another. So as coughing, they're just like, go, 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 go. So I take those 6 gravity bong hits in a row and have this enlightening experience. And like, I had one of those GoPed motorized like razor scooters, and like I knew I had to ride home. So I like start trying to ride home and like crash it so many times. The last time I crash it, I hit the curb so hard it bends the wheel into the frame. So I just have to carry the scooter home. And I get home and I'm like, my parents are gonna know I'm so paranoid. I don't know what the fuck to do. My dad's a cop, so I'm just like, I'm gonna do my homework on my parents' bed. That's my great idea. And I get my homework and I go up on my parents' bed and I just start doing my homework. And I'm like, if I smoked weed, I could do my homework every day. And my dyslexia wasn't as bad. Like my dad always taught me being a good person and treating people kindly and helping people was more important than money or any of that other stuff. And my dad like taught me to but do the research. And so when everybody started telling me cannabis was bad and like cannabis was the only thing protecting me from so much negative energy was hurting me as a child, like all these negative entities and things were affecting me. And once I smoked cannabis, it like taught me how to protect myself. It taught me how to like not be scared of anything and not have any fears, and to realize like I'm a human being. If I can manifest into this human form, you're powerful. You're a powerful individual, and so you don't need to be scared of anything. You're guaranteed to die. That's the guarantee.
This is what you were thinking at 14?
Yeah.
As you were getting high?
Yeah. You're guaranteed to die. This is what cannabis told me. You're gonna die. Accept that. Man. Accept that. But
intense for a 14-year-old. That's
I went through I went through a lot of stuff. If I actually told you the stuff that I went through as a kid, you would probably think I'm crazy. But we're not going to go there because it's like Sixth Sense type shit.
Well, tell me about then when you transitioned to starting to blow glass. How did you go from just starting to smoke to having this revelation of how it made you a better person to actually saying, I think I'm going to start working in the industry? Where did that happen?
So first what happened was I smoked the cannabis, got my grades good, realized it was good, started doing all the research, found out about reefer madness and all that stuff, realized it was bad, started having arguments with my parents every day. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this information that I found out. Look at all this bullshit. Look, Henry Ford made his first car out of hemp plastic, and he ran his first car out of hemp seed oil. The first diesel engine was made out of hemp seed, ran on hemp seed and flaxseed oil. And so I started like saying all this stuff, and like my dad isn't the type of person who's stupid. He's like listening to me and debating with me, and like he's a good debater. So I just kept trying to like, I wanted to convince my parents like, hey, cannabis is the only thing saving my life right now. I'm attention deficit, dyslexic, Ritalin, Adderall is not good, and it's making me depressed, angry, it's ruining my life, it's making me feel like a zombie, and so cannabis is the only thing helping me. But like cannabis was always the demon. Cannabis was always that bad thing that
from the outside by them.
By everybody around me. And that was the only thing helping me. So I was like in this position where it was like, what do I do? And so eventually, like, I just started making everything into a bong. One of the first bongs I made, I took my dad's respirator because he was a cop, and the CPR thing, and basically turned that into a bong, like a gravity bong. You put the pipe fitting on the end, you light it, it sucks in the smoke, you take the pipe fitting off, and you blast it right into their lungs. And at the 710 cup, I made a replica of that for oil, and I can show it to you too.
Wow.
So like,
so this was age 14, 15
yeah,
also?
15 years
So
old.
at the same time you started smoking is also when you started
everything
creating...
was a bong to me. Everything became a bong.
So you've been a pipe maker pretty much since the beginning.
I was a pipe maker before I smoked because, as I told you, I was like, as I transitioned from being like a kid in the imaginary world and playing around, I started hanging out, all my friends started smoking pot. And like to be helpful, they would be at the park and like not have anything to smoke. And I was that guy like in half-baked, like get me a mechanical pencil, a confetti popper, and a screen from the sink, and I'd make pipes. And like I watched them smoke, and I would make sure they were cool while they were high.
Stephen Baldwin, I think.
Yeah. So I made pipes out of everything, and then my cousins, they just gets me to smoke, and that was the end of that.
The MacGyver, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think everybody who starts around that age and is into it beyond just smoking it versus anything, if they're actually wanting that cannabis, they don't just want anything.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who just, whatever's in front of me, give it to me. But for those who are actually in the cannabis lifestyle, I think everybody has a kit. Everybody has some way of forming a bowl and some type of mouthpiece together. So, I mean,
stoners are very creative, and they're not as lazy and stupid as people think. Like I told you, I wanted to be a glass blower since I saw the Mr. Rogers as a little kid. And as soon as I realized, like, I moved to Las Vegas because I liked this girl, and she lived in Las Vegas, so I moved there for a woman, and I was like, all right, I'm going to work at a head shop. I loved pipes and weed so much that like I became the manager real quick, because I was just selling all the pipes, and I would be enthusiastic, selling the people the bongs, sell the people the best stuff, and just I made them so much money they made me the manager. And so once I became the manager, I started meeting all the glass blowers that made pipes. And then like I realized from Mr. Rogers and glass blowing and pipes and cannabis, like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Where are you in the history of glass blowing? Are you at the beginning of it? Are you in the middle? Where are you in the timeline of glass blowing?
I am not going to say I'm a history major in glass, but basically lamp working, torch working, on-hand torch working, where a torch is in front of you with the lines connected to tanked gases.
What we just saw in the garage
like
here.
We saw in the garage. Tanked gases, could be natural gas, propane, oxygen. There's multiple gases, argon, whatever. There's all kinds of gases that people use for torch working. But as far as glass blowing, most people use oxygen and propane. And like torch working, a little bit more than 100 years old. As far as like torch working,
right? I guess as long as beakers and glass type tubing has been around, I guess that's glass blowing in a sense, also, right?
Well, then the other aspect of glass and where a lot of these techniques come from are Italian. So the Italian glass blowing scene has been.
What was going on? What was the product that they were?
They create a lot of wine goblets and vessels, they have a lot of techniques where they draw lines and twist lines into radicellos and laticinos and all these different patterns. And so there's a lot of different techniques that come from Italy. Everything is connected in this world, so yeah, a lot of the glass blowing techniques are similar to a lot of different industries.
I mean, what you showed me out there in the sense of taking multiple rods together and then twisting them is almost like making a pasta in a sense of taking rods, flexible noodles, and flour, and the whole deal.
Glass blowing is a very relatively young thing, and pipe working is even younger. Have you seen the movie Degenerate Art?
No. Is it on Netflix? Where can I find it?
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure everybody should check out Degenerate Art. It just basically shows you kind of the underground pipe making scene, and it just,
It feels new to me in the sense of 10, 12 years, because when I was in high school, this type of pipe didn't really exist. And that was just, 17 years ago. It was metal pipes that we were screwing together, and it was wood pipes, and then it was plasticky type stuff. But this of everything glass.
The one thing that the American government didn't count on is when they made prohibition, that they were going to make all the youth obsessed with cannabis. And so, like, you fight something and you go negative against something,
right,
it has the reverse effect, the balance. It balances out. And so if you look at American movies and American culture, every movie, every character, there's a character in every movie that's a stoner. Like the stoner brother or the stoner whatever.
Right.
And it's gone from like the stupid stoner guy that's like, hey bro, and now it's to like the stoner guy who's like smart and like saves the day or whatever. And so like it's an ever evolving thing. But like if you think of strains of cannabis, everybody used to think of like Amsterdam being the mecca of like if you want to go smoke legal pot and like all the pot. But like if you really want to talk about genetics and breeding, all of the kids and all the people in California and all the different states growing pot, trading strains, trading like all the different things that are going on. America is the most pot obsessed country out of any country, and we love pot. We love smoking cannabis. Everybody knows somebody who smokes cannabis, or like that's the main thing that is going on right now is like all the people who have the money want to smoke cannabis, but their jobs don't allow them to. And so, like, they don't want anybody else to be able to smoke cannabis either.
Well, that's what makes you and I guess me and all the others who are trying to make a career out of this industry kind of unique, is that it used to be a barrier.
Yeah.
You know, you would either be a criminal or the unemployable guy, but now you can actually make a business. So how long have you been actually making a not just a lifestyle, but a business out of what you're doing?
Ever since I was 15, I realized that, like, I could get older guys who couldn't find pot to buy like a bunch of pot, and I could get a bunch of pot for free. And so I started selling pot and hustling pot, and I wasn't the type of person to rip people off. I wouldn't sell you pot that I wouldn't smoke. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't give you a cannabis product that I wouldn't use, and that's my standard. And so I was really successful, especially in Utah. Like, not many people sold as much pot and grew as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. There's a big community.
Yeah. And
well, I don't know. What about today? Have you been back there recently?
Utah has a huge, like, there's a lot of kids with money, so they like smoking chronic, and there's a lot of people selling $50 and $60 bags. I mean,
so good ganja is the new cocaine now, of the rich kid thing to do, of what to do to defy your parents, get some good weed. And
I think that people are realizing that cannabis is the one thing that doesn't have all the negative aspects of really, like, you might have more fun on coke or ecstasy or any of those other drugs, but there's consequences to those drugs, and there's a hangover, and there's a consequence. Cannabis is the one thing that is friendly and loves humans.
It's like the weekend warrior that you can still come into work on Monday and start over and not... You know, you can get high all weekend. And
besides dogs, cannabis is man's best friend. Honestly, every single part in your body has a cannabinoid system. So every joint, every function, your liver, all the things function through cannabinoids. And so if you don't have those cannabinoids, you aren't going to function right. And that's why I believe all these people have mental problems and physical issues, because from 1 to 18, you're born with enough cannabinoids, I believe. Like, you're healthy, you come out of your mom, and you're ready to go. But once you get to 18, you start to have to add nutrients and vitamins and stuff to keep up with your body. You have to work out. It's not just like you can just drink every day and wake up and go at it again. And everybody has that. When they're young, they're like partying every night. They wake up, they spring right back up. And then once you get to 25, 30, 40, it's not as easy as it was. And no one's consuming cannabis in the way that they should. Because smoking cannabis, it will help you. And if you smoke enough cannabis, maybe it could turn into oil into your lungs and saturate in, but you'd have to smoke so much weed. You have to consume cannabis raw. And so whether it's leaves, it's the leaves into juice.
Like just, making it into something.
Okay. You can't just eat nugs. I like to chew up nugs. Like, I chewed up a nug today.
But there would be no psychoactive effect from doing that, from just eating raw plant.
No, you can get stoned, definitely, but...
From eating uncooked or somehow.
If you ate a bunch of weed, I ate a half ounce of weed in Thailand because I thought my counselor was at my door, and I was going to get sent home from Thailand, so I chewed up all the weed that I had, and it was like some really good Thai weed.
That's going to make a perfect scene in a movie one day.
I'll tell you right now, I ended up in somebody else's room. I didn't know whose room it was. No one was there. I projectile vomited. I was so high that I was like drunk, like I drank a bottle of tequila, like falling into the walls. I couldn't get up. I couldn't even move. That's
an uncomfortable. Well, I mean, edibles will always get you if you don't. If you're not paying attention.
And that's the thing, is that edibles. When you eat an edible, it's gonna give you some effect because you're consuming cannabis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to give you some effect, but you're consuming cooked form of cannabis. So just like raw foods are more healthy, fruits, vegetables, when you cook the...
Well, I thought it all had to be cooked in some form to release the THC to produce that psychoactive effect. I thought there had to be some type of heating process.
I have a different belief on everybody, and a lot of people are going to say I'm wrong. A lot of people are going to say I'm stupid. But like, I've been working with cannabis since I was 14 years old. I've been making hash and making cannabis medicines, teas, all different types of things, and I've been working with medicines for a long time. And I don't base my medicines on like what I want to believe. Right. I base it on truth.
So you found in research that that's not true. You can just consume it in any form and it can produce a psychoactive effect?
I've ate so many edibles and never once did the edibles stop my seizures. So tell me why the edibles didn't stop my seizures, but when I took raw BHO, the extracted form, a lot of cannabinoids, they've never tested that much THC until BHO, cannabis extracted cannabis.
And the BHO is the butane hash oil.
Yeah. And so they've never tested that high amounts of THC.
So you're saying it needs to be the high concentrate is what is actually...
You can't eat enough cannabis and have it saturate in any other form besides hashes because you'll digest it and it will go out of your body before your body could break it all down.
It'll just pass through your digestive system.
Yeah, like it will take some of it in, but by the time it goes out, it didn't eat it all up.
So the oils help absorb
it goes
into
right
the
into
body,
your bloodstream immediately,
avoiding the digestive system.
I put it under my tongue, and so sublingually, that's the best way to get medicine. In your saliva, it immediately goes into your bloodstream. But like eating a grain of rice of oil a day, I would suggest every single person do that. And if you're sick...
A grain of a rice, so literally just a couple drops.
Just a couple drops of oil, just swallow it. Put it in bread, swallow it. You'll never feel better, you'll never...
And you'll never taste it.
You'll never taste it.
Just a couple drops. There would be no...
it's nothing.
I mean, you could almost accidentally do that every day.
Every time oil sticks to my finger, I eat it. You know, and so like I try to eat as much oil as I can because it stopped my seizures. And I've tried every single cannabis product.
All right, so let's step back because I think we brushed over that quickly. So you were having seizures daily.
I was having 2 seizures.
Seizures like fall, floor, shaking, body out kind of deal?
Twice a week. I would have feelings of deja vu, and then it would feel like an alien abduction or the craziest feeling, near-death experience, like I'm dying. All the moments in my life flash before me, and then what happens is I fall to the ground or I do something. I might be doing something, but I'm not aware of what I'm doing.
Right.
And then I open my mouth so wide that my jaw dislocates, and then I hold my breath. And like at the worst times, I was holding my breath for 3 minutes. Like I would turn purple and blue, and I'd have brain damage after the seizure because I held my breath for so long. And then I woke up one day, I didn't know it was a seizure, and I thought I had like rabies or something because my jaw was dislocated because I opened my mouth so wide.
Jeez.
So I pick my girlfriend up from work. She drives me to the hospital. I'm throwing up out the window. They tell me my jaw's dislocated through an x-ray. They put me to sleep like surgery. He puts his thumbs in my mouth while I'm asleep and just pops my jaw back in place. And so twice a week that's happening to me, and I got to go to the hospital. And like imagine when you get put to sleep, you don't feel good after.
Put under anesthesia.
Yeah.
So is this still happening to you?
So at the worst point in time, which is a couple years ago, I was having the seizures twice a week, jaw dislocation. Then I finally just started pushing my jaw, biting down so hard and pushing it back in place myself because I couldn't afford to go like in an ambulance in a hospital all the time. And so now recently, and in the past 2 years ago is when at Christmas I pretty much wanted to die, and so I just ate the whole gram of oil to see if it would help. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I got to stop these seizures.
So a gram of oil, we're talking about maybe a
quarter
inch by
size.
an inch.
A quarter size.
Okay, a good sized quarter
Yeah.
of oil. Which, what did you eat it with? Because that's a good amount
I love
to
the taste of cannabis. I just put it in my mouth. If the oil's stable enough, it won't stick to your teeth and you can chew it. But most oil is not stable. It will stick right to your teeth, so you just got to swallow it. But I'll just put it on my tongue, let it saturate. I really like the taste of cannabis. I can chew up cannabis buds and be just fine with it. So like it doesn't bother me. Other people would probably want to swallow it. But for like older people, or if you have cancer, you should look up Rick Simpson oil or look up how to get oil and consume 2 ounces of oil as soon as possible. Not so quick that it's just going to go through your digestive system, but it's at the most comfortable level of possible. You need to eat 2 ounces of oil.
Daily?
No, not daily. You get the 2 ounces of oil if you're sick and eat it as fast as you possibly can.
Just a one-time shot?
No, like what I'm saying is like it's going to take you, it could take you days, it could take you weeks to eat the 2 ounces of oil.
Okay, just consistently eat.
But eat as much as you can as possible. If they say you got 30 days to live, fucking just eat the whole thing. Yeah, like eat it, like consume the whole thing as fast as possible.
So that's to break the glass, the emergency glass.
Yeah.
Just
consume 2 ounces of oil as quick as possible. I'm not a doctor. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but this is in my firm belief is that even Rick Simpson oil, which is a very primitive way to extract oil, just taking alcohol and, like I said, mashing it up like I do in the water and then extracting it and boiling it down on a coffee boiler till it turns into this black sap, and that kills a lot of shit anyways. It cooks it, but it still will cure you. So even making that product, even the shittiest cannabis, if you can consume it, it will help better than nothing. But you want to get the best cannabis possible that you can and eat 2 ounces of an extract, water, whatever you prefer. Eat 2 ounces of extract as fast as possible. And that's what I've seen the people that have cancer or AIDS or the things that they've done to stay alive, to try to like get off all their medicine. And so basically my parents were against it and I fought everybody for so long. And now in the past couple years, everybody knows all the things that I said was true. I told all my family that cannabis would be legal by this time, and they never believed me. And like now it is, and like all the stuff that I said would happen came true. And so now my parents are moving out here to help me with my cannabis business.
Really?
My dad's retiring as a cop.
Oh, when they get here, we got to do an interview. I have to get that story. I have to talk to your dad.
My dad wants to start doing lectures about how busting people for drugs and arresting people for drugs has never helped and just puts cops in danger and puts people in danger, drains them, puts them into the pathway of more drugs.
When is he coming?
They'll be here next week.
All right.
Yeah.
Then 2 weeks or whenever they're ready, I would love to sit down for as long as he can.
Yeah.
And get the inside details on that life story, because that's a powerful story.
For the longest time, he had one of the biggest marijuana busts in America, 12 tons. Wow. And, he didn't pursue that. It just fell into his lap. But he's never been against cannabis.
He's like Barry and Candy. Or,
my dad's seen it all, and like he knows better than anybody how the justice system destroys people's lives and destroys families and just puts people into jail to make money. Doesn't get people away from drugs, it pushes people towards drugs.
That's a perfect harmonious story of really starting out kind of being rejected by family and society, and then in the end coming back together with family to actually pursue business ventures.
My mom eats
such a great story.
My mom eats the oil now, and she got off all of her osteoporosis medicines and all of her endometriosis and all those other things that all women are suffering from and all people have. She got off all those medicines and just eats the oil. And like she couldn't sleep.
The butane hash oil.
Yeah, okay. And she couldn't sleep at night. And now all she has to do is eat the oil. And like she consumes probably a grain of rice every probably 10 days, every 15 days. So it's nothing.
Almost nothing.
It's almost nothing.
Virtually nothing.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. Once you're healthy and you get to the cannabinoid uptake and you're to where you need to be, you're going to start losing weight. You're going to be able to get off whatever kind of medications are causing side effects.
And the type of oil she's taking is the heavy CBD?
No, it's high THC.
Okay.
I believe in high THC. I think CBD is the backup for. You have to have both. But I think the reason why CBD is getting so much hype right now is because it doesn't get kids high. So you can't go to the government and say, let us get kids high and give them. Well, it's the same thing that like a lot of the cartels did with the medical marijuana scene scene in Mexico. Yeah, there were people that wanted medical marijuana, but a lot of the cartels pushed that medical just so they could sell pot. So I don't care if they say CBD is great so that they can start giving kids pot medicine just so they can pass through that gate of hell.
Oh, I was thinking about the other way that they say that only CBD can be sold to kind of take away the THC marijuana, to get the stoners,
Well,
to say, yeah, we'll let medical marijuana legal, but only this specific.
It's because people like Sanjay Gupta and doctors don't want to go to the public and say, let's give the kids THC to cure them. They want to say that's their segue. So once they start taking this CBD with the 1% THC, it helps them. But then once they jump it up to 10% and it cures them right away, they're like, all right, THC is good. They don't want to just come through guns blazing saying THC for everyone.
Right.
So a lot of people believe in CBD way more than THC. I think that the plant produces more THC because of a purpose.
Well, they do different things and they function differently.
Yes.
And I think what people who don't understand is that it's not just a physical effect that's taking place to your body. That quote unquote high is the distraction that is taking pain away, because distraction is a pain reliever. When you're in that state of high and not focused on your pain, and you're focused on whatever your state of high is, that's the pain reliever. So it's not just a physical effect that you're looking for. You're also looking to get people literally out of pain by all resources available.
Yeah.
The mental and physical.
Yes, and the other reason why cannabis has so many negative aspects is because of the people who grow it. So, cannabis is a very unique plant, and THC, it can degrade and change through light and heat. So, depending on how long that THC sits in that grow room and how cloudy those trichomes get and how clear those trichomes get, THC can act like CBD, it can act like CBN, it can act like all those chemicals, and it churns into those chemicals inside your body through how you consume it, whether you heat it up when you eat it or whether you eat it raw. And so really the research needs to be done and really prove and show, why does THC just to say CBD is good?
Right.
And so what they're doing is they're heating up the THC and getting psychoactively, and that's not what they like. A lot of people don't like that.
Right.
Most people don't want to think.
I don't like vaporizing for this reason of isolating just more of a THC. Supposedly, THC melts at a lower temperature, so when you're vaporizing, you're capturing just more of a THC rather than, because the plant matter, when it starts to burn, is where you get a lot of your CBDs. Yeah. So when I vaporize, I get almost a piercing kind of headache. I don't like that feeling because it's just too much one thing. And I think like most things, and as you alluded to before, it's balance, right? Balance. It's about balance where you need both.
I think it's funny that a lot of people in the hash market complain about plant waxes and about plant material.
Oh, the health of it, like it's bad to smoke this plant material.
Plant wax, but we've been smoking cannabis for 10,000 years in a very rudimentary way. I mean, first uses of cannabis, they were just putting it under baths and lighting it on fire, and the smoke was bellowing up so much that you were inhaling it and getting high in the bathhouses. And so they didn't even have pipes. They just lit it on fire and literally got in a teepee or something where they could trap the smoke and they would get high, until someone realized, like, oh, put this in here and light it and suck on it, and now we got a smoking device.
Efficiency. It came through a stoner.
Yeah.
Don't smoke out the whole house, man.
Yeah, they finally got so high, they're like, there's got to be a better way than this. My clothes smell, it's so harsh on my throat.
Well, I mean, that's just highlighting that true creativity that comes when people get high. They get creative. It's not just a movie joke. Yeah. It's for real. People get inspired. People get creative. People want to move and do things. The couch lock stoner, I don't think really exists anymore.
Yeah, and cannabis is a mirror of yourself. So if you're lazy, you're going to be more lazy. If you're rude, you'll probably be more rude. If you're nice, you'll be more nice. If you're energetic, you're going to be more energetic. And so it makes you you. And so when you start smoking cannabis, it's literally going to start making you do what you want to do. And sometimes you need to be lazy. Sometimes the bitching girlfriend or the nagging mom or the boss in the job, you need to forget that.
Or you need to sleep. It's 11 o'clock at night and your back hurts and you've had a long day.
When you forget something, sometimes you didn't need to remember that. Sometimes your body's like letting go. And what's PTSD. A lot of these people that have like anxiety attacks and fears and all this stuff, it's holding on to these memories of like when they got attacked or when they had a bad experience or when they got in a car crash. So now every time they get in a car, they think of the car crash. You need to be able to get past that at some point.
We need to lose memory, in other words.
Yeah.
We need to embrace the short-term memory as a way of protection almost. We don't need to remember everything in life.
You need to have that memory, but you need to let go of the physical connected with it so it doesn't react to your nerves and your nervous system and jump that and make you freak out. And so like cannabis is the most mild form of every drug. So like that's why everybody when they come down from ecstasy they smoke weed, or when they come down from shroom they smoke weed, because cannabis will
when you're hungover you smoke weed.
Cannabis will always
when
embrace.
You're sick, you got the cold and the flu. How do you classify it? Some people classify it as a hallucinogen. How do you classify it?
I think with every strain and how every single culture has grown it on the planet, and back to religion and where I started doing all my research, when I did my research I found that cannabis was connected to every religion. So that like when the Jewish people were putting on the yarmulkes, they were putting hash oil on it and it was absorbing into their head. And that when the Japanese had their funeral processions, that everybody had to wear hemp that was in the funeral line. And those things that they swing that look like lanterns with smoke coming out of them were filled with marijuana, and they were just getting everybody high. And like you had to wear hemp. And when we bombed them and when we took over, we said no more weed. And every single person that's in NATO and every single person that's connected to the United States signed a piece of paper saying we will destroy cannabis, we'll take it out, and we will not start using it anymore.
Japan is very strict. I have a friend that's teaching over there right now, and he's so paranoid that he will not even follow my Facebook page because it has the word cannabis in it. He's so paranoid because he does classes with the government teaching English.
Exactly.
And
they used to
I'm not sure whether to laugh or cry. I don't know.
They used to call cannabis ma, which means mother, the mother plant. Cannabis was their mother plant, and now they treat it like it's a demon, like it's this Satan thing. And the only reason why they do that is because of America. America has contributed to destroying so many cannabis plants, you can't even describe it. And so what they wanted to do is like take out all the strains across the world. Because like in Afghanistan and all those regions, they have those plants. And in Asia, and each plant has their growing techniques and their climate that makes those plants awesome. And when I lived in Thailand, I went into the hill tribe. Those ladies that put the rings on their neck to
stretch the neck.
It doesn't stretch their neck; it pushes their shoulders down.
Okay.
And so it looks like their neck stretched, but they're really just like crushing their shoulders down.
And then if you take them off,
their neck flops. Yeah. But they're awesome people, and they make tons of jewelry. And the government, they live in the Golden Triangle. And so Laos, Burma, and Thailand, they are free to grow whatever kind of drugs they want. So they grow opium, they grow mushrooms, they grow pot, and the climate in Chiang Mai is so good that you can grow pot year-round. So I walk into the garden and I'm seeing opium, and at each opium, like it looks like lettuce, at each end of opium field they got a different colored pot plant just growing like 6 foot tall. And then like my friend jumps up and breaks this branch from a tree, and I look at the branch and it's weed leaves, and there's a tree that's like literally like 30 something feet high, and like my hands can barely fit around the trunk.
It's a Christmas tree. Yeah.
And it's a weed tree that's, I can't remember how old he told me it is, but I know it's at least 10 years old. And he took out a tin foil and gave me some buds from the last harvest, because I didn't recognize that as a weed plant because it didn't have buds on it. It was so big. I was just looking around at the ground level like mushrooms and rolling hill gardens. And you know, the policy of the exchange student program is you can't do any drugs, but they take us into this garden where you pay 25 cents and every single drug is available in front of you. And so
inside the wall, so you can do it inside the garden.
No, they're just like tempting us, I guess, like make a move, we'll send you
Garden
home.
of Eden.
Yeah, so
wow, that's crazy.
So I just started discovering like cannabis is involved in every major religion. In Buddhism, if you look at Christ and you look at the anointing oils that Christ supposedly used, the main ingredients, there's 5 flowering tops of cannabis: frankincense, myrrh, cinnamon, and olive oil. And so if there were people with leprosy and there were people that were sick, and this guy who's walking around rubbing this oil on people and healing people, they might conceive him as a god or as some spiritual being. And I'm not trying to mess with anybody's religion or say what isn't or is, but like through all my, when people have stories, when you make up a story, even if 90% of it isn't true, 10% of where that story comes from somewhere.
Well, I like that. I haven't heard that one before. I like that one.
Yeah,
that
so
Jesus was just rubbing hemp oil on.
If you look up the anointing oil, the King James Version, they changed it. You look up the anointing oil. If you look in the Bible, it teaches you everything. Like if you want to build the ark, or you want to build the Ark of the Covenant, or you want to do whatever, like it tells you, it has the blueprints. So like if you want to make the holy anointing oil, it tells you. But if you read the King James Version, it says, reed cane, calamus. Cannabism is the original translation. Cannabism is cannabis. But they changed it to calamus, meaning reed cane. Reed cane are like those canes that are in like water, you know, like it looks like little bamboo shoots growing out of water.
Okay.
What are they going to make medicine out of that with? Nothing. It's cannabis. And what did the wise men in the story bring to Jesus's birth? Frankincense, myrrh, olive oil, and cinnamon. So like they brought the stuff to make the anointing oil. And like this anointing oil is supposed to be so psychoactive that if you like put it on your third eye, on your chakra, it's going to make you have a psychoactive trip. And so all of the rabbis were eating ergot bread, which is basically rye bread that ferments and turns into acid, and they were getting high on this bread, and they were consuming cannabis, and they didn't want the general public to know, because that's what the priest class is about.
I've heard that Christianity is based on mushrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
All religions are based upon cannabis and consuming of mushrooms, because we, as like Joe Rogan believes, and a lot of people believe, we're like apes, and then once we consumed mushrooms, we evolved over 2 million years, just bam, overnight. Theory. And so I believe that to be one possibility. People believe in Anunnakis and genetic modification of aliens and all the other stuff that people believe in. But like the one thing that I know to be true is that we as human beings are supposed to consume cannabis daily. And to not consume cannabis daily is going to make you have half a lifespan that you normally would have. And so maybe the reason why they're, like in the Bible, they're saying all these people are living 500 years is because they're actually not consuming genetically modified food. They're eating plants and doing stuff that's way more healthy for you. And so, like, ayahuasca is another thing that I'm into a lot. And, like, I believe that everybody, if you have cancer, I said eat 2 ounces of oil. If you really want to cure yourself and you're daring enough, find a shaman and get them to make ayahuasca for you and have an ayahuasca experience. You'll purge all the cancer. You'll purge everything in your body out. You'll get healed quickly. But it's an intense experience. You have to be ready to face death. You have to be ready to look death in the eyes. You have to be ready to face every fear that you've ever had. You have to be able to go into every person that you've hurt and feel what you did to them. And if you haven't hurt a lot of people, it's not going to be bad. And you're going to feel all the stuff that people did to you. You're going to feel better about that too. Like you're going to let go of that. And you're going to realize like every time that you think something, your mind is this construct and it's got this computer memory and it's always tripping you up. It's not letting you be free and it's not letting you think freely. So like you see some guy and he looks like the guy that tripped you in 3rd grade and like you remember that guy's face and you don't even know the guy, but like he gets by you and you're like, don't fucking get by him. You're rude to him because he looks like the guy that tripped you in 3rd grade. And like every time you see somebody that looks like that person, they piss you off and you don't even know why. It's like in your subconscious mind. And that's what ayahuasca will show you. It will go into your subconscious and show you who you really are. And some people aren't ready for that. I mean, some people can't handle the paranoia of weed because the weed is like, why aren't you doing what you love? Why are you sitting here watching TV? Why are you being rude to your family members? Why aren't you being what you know you are, which is an awesome individual? Because every human being has a uniqueness and has this awesome thing that they can contribute, regardless of how tall, small, whatever color, whatever. Everybody has something to contribute. And when they find that, they're going to be happy. They're going to have an awesome life. And that's what the world should be striving for. Everybody should strive to be happy and help everybody else find what they love to do. Because when everybody's doing that, it's going to be an awesome place. And that's what people want. That's what people are finally realizing what they do want. Like, the government pushes all this stuff on you, but in the end, it doesn't make you happy. You don't feel any better. The fast car didn't make you feel better. The clothes didn't make you any happier. All the flashy stuff that you had didn't make you happier. All the glass pieces that you had, all the drugs you did, nothing makes you happy except for being happy now and helping people and like being a good person now and living in that moment, realizing that now is a special moment, and that's how you observe that moment. You don't think of the past or the future. You live in the moment, and when you live in that moment, then you can like be free. Then you can like actually live the life that you're meant to have. And like everybody, like there's a religion called Shambhala, and they believe in like riding your wind horse. And when you're riding your wind horse, it's finding your path to where it's like, when you're on a horse, if you're going too fast, it's like crazy and you can't control yourself. And you're going too slow, it's like tiring the horse. But when the horse hits its perfect gallop, you're just in the flow with the horse and it's not hurting you. You're just like in this gallop. And when you hit that gallop, everything happens for you. Everything works out. So like those are the days when you wake up and like you get to the light and the light turns green and you make the light and the person waves to you and everybody's happy and
you're in the zone.
Yeah, you're in the zone. Yeah. And then you cut someone off and flip them off, and the next day like everybody's rude to you and the coffee's cold and everything's bad and you're just like, what happened? You know what I'm saying?
So
and
it's riding that wavelength of choosing the frequency you want to be on and sticking to it.
Choosing that energy. And sometimes you have to be an asshole. Sometimes people are being rude to you, someone's abusing you or doing something wrong to you, and maybe you're being too nice. Maybe you're not having a conversation with your significant other and telling them, hey, I don't like this, or I don't want this, or this isn't making both of us happy. And no one's having those conversations because everybody's too scared to have the conversation. Yeah. At the end of the trail of the conversation is their pot of gold. And it's like, they don't want the pot of gold. Right. They want that struggle. They want that suffering. I feel like a lot of people get so scared if they make it to something successful, then they can lose all of that. But if you have nothing, if you have nothing to lose.
The fear of loss is more than the drive to gain. Yeah, that's what they say with people then. Instead of offering them a bonus if they do something, give them something and threaten to take it away if they don't continue to perform is more effective. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot to say. We could probably go on for hours and hours and hours, man. You got a lot. I'm gonna have to come back, and we're gonna have to talk some more. We're gonna have to talk and get you part of this community so people can frequently hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I really want to start, I've been doing so much research and amassing this information, and now I want to share it with everybody. Now it's the point where I'm not going to get locked up for sharing the information. It's not like, your friend in Japan where you can't even have, and even Joe Rogan said it.
Scared to like a Facebook page.
Yeah, because of cannabis. Something they used to call the mother plant. How absurd is that? Like, if you call yourself an adult, and you look at any sort of structure, a business or a model of something, like you look at slavery, slavery's wrong. Right. So like consuming and demonizing a plant, we're lost as hell. We're that little kid that's selfish, that throws tantrums and doesn't respect anybody else's shit and thinks everybody should like us even though we're rude and have no respect for anybody else. And like, everybody's waking up to that because they realize, like, you can say how great you are and how great everything is, but when you wake up in the morning and you're not happy, you eventually say, like, I'm sick of being sold this. Like, I want to find happiness. I want to find a job. I want to do something that actually puts money on the table, but at the end of the day makes me feel happy too.
Cannabis revolution. That's what we're all about. That's what this project's all about. Man, you gotta come back, and we gotta continue, talk about the same, do whatever, because I think people want to eat this kind of information up. I think they're looking for it.
I think this is a good introduction, and I think we missed out a lot on the website, so next time we'll promote the website and we'll do all that other stuff.
Where can people find you if they want to talk to you? Or, they're going to hear a little bit about the shop, so maybe they want to talk to you about some of your pieces. Where can they find you?
If you want to find me personally and contact me directly, find me on Facebook at Errl Riggz, ERRL-RIGGZ, and Facebook is Highglass Riggz, and highglassriggz.com, HGRiggs.com. It's High Glass Riggz, like high class, but with glass.
So H-I?
H-I-G-H.
H-I-G-H.
Yeah, HIGHGLASSRIGGZ.com.
Okay. Excellent. Well, let's call it a night tonight. Come back and have a conversation once a month, once every 2 months or whatever. You can talk about your pipes. You can talk about whatever.
Yeah, sorry I talk a lot and kind of talked over you, but
you don't have to say that to me because I'm usually the one people are saying that to.
I'm just really enthusiastic to see where the cannabis community is at, and like I know that if we all push hard right now, we can have full legalization in less than 5 years everywhere.
Yeah? You think even that long?
I think, well, like, to where every single block has recreational like liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? Like in 5 years,
afford a license.
Everywhere you go, even Utah, Idaho.
So
I think full legalization could happen in less than a year. With where
like
it's at.
nationwide full.
Yeah, decriminalization in most places, and like all the places that have medical have recreational.
Right.
But it just depends on how much people push and how much people share knowledge and connect and like don't stand for shit. Because if the dispensaries and the people work together, they can get lawyers and they can get petitions and they can get numbers and they can get movements to really
hold close and my love, don't ever let it go. Hold it close now. And my love, oh, don't ever let it go. Hold it close now. Oh, when you find love, oh, don't ever.
There you go, fellow cannapreneurs. Errl Riggz. It doesn't get much realer than that. I mean, obviously, all the interviews have been very good and very honest, and I think he hit it right on the head. Errl's an interesting guy, and you need to reach out and connect with him because having him part of your network is definitely part of the Cannabis Community Network. So join us on this project, the Cannabis Community Project. Find us on Facebook, Google+, Kush Common, or just go straight to the source or our website, www.cannabiscommunityproject.com, and let us know you're listening. And we're going to go out there and we're going to find more businesses, more individuals who are advocates, more patients, more musicians. Hey, did you like this week's song? That was a special one, new release, first time heard right here on Cannabis Community Project, Hannah Samano. Next week, we're going to have more and more and more and more. So the only thing you need to worry about is making it right here every Saturday, 4:20. Listen on any platform you want. It doesn't really matter. The only important thing is that you're listening and sharing it with a friend. See you next week.